Hello, welcome to HLA Live. HLA Live is our regular broadcast on the HLA YouTube channel as well as all the other social media channels. Each week we talk to interesting people from across the HLA community.
Good evening, everyone. I am really excited to be chairing tonight's meeting.
Hi, I'm Rosie Spooner and I'm hosting HLA Live this Wednesday.
And I'm an HLA scholar and I'm also going to be your host this evening.
To share with us their ideas and their innovations and hopefully bring them to a global audience.
Quite quick, we have ideas, let's do this, let's do that. So
many of the topics come from our community, with scholars and faculty expressing an interest in many of the discussions that we're about to have.
Hello everyone and welcome to the HLA Live session on widening participation in the postgraduate realm.
Homelessness and health.
Addiction and the new normal.
HLA programs are built on 6 pillars. The leader is an innovator and entrepreneur. The leader is a communicator. The leader is a manager. The leader as a negotiator. The leader is a follower, and the leader is a philosopher. If you are interested in becoming a HLA scholar, why not get in contact? Many of the episodes in HLA Live will cover one or more of these important pillars. The HLA team consists of Pedra, Eamon, Tim, Riddy, Alistair, Adil and Trisha, and a range of other HLA scholars and faculty.
I am thrilled to introduce our speaker, Dr. Karan Rangarajan. Karan combines education with entertainment on social media, and right from the start of the pandemic, he's been bringing easy to understand information to the public, combating vaccine and COVID myths. I can't wait to see what he has in store for us today.
It's Dr. Karan. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And so I've been on social media for a while, since 2010, actually, even though, you know, maybe most people only think maybe I kind of shot to fame in the last year. Back in 2010, I had a YouTube channel called The Oski Station, where, you know, I created clinical examination videos for medical students, nurses, any healthcare professionals wanting to refresh or consolidate their skills. That got a bit of traction, but unfortunately, you know, that took a bit of a voluntary hiatus. I was, you know, involved with finals exams and, you know, starting as a junior doctor as an F1 in the UK. So that took a bit of a back seat in my career, which I regret because, you know, obviously YouTube is one of the biggest platforms for sharing education and entertainment. But, you know, I kind of dabbled with Instagram, you know, kind of looking into my passions with medical history. Again, that got a bit of traction, but again, I got sidetracked by other things going on in my career, research, rotations, surgical applications, and all these various things. And then all of a sudden, TikTok, you know, came onto the board. And at first, I just started as a consumer, you know, just watching kind of the funny videos that were on there, and I didn't really see too much educational stuff on there. I started just watching some videos back in the end of 2019, and you know what TikTok was at the end of 2019 is a completely different beast to what it is now. You know, so I just started watching some stuff, and then the actual story of really how I got started on TikTok, it began when I was on call for surgery, and myself and my SHO, my junior, we were waiting for the patient to be anesthetized. We were about to do a laparotomy, which was, you know, going to be about 3 or 4 hours. So we had some downtime while the patient was being anesthetized, about an hour or so. So, you know, we were just sitting in the coffee room talking about the procedure and then talking about various other things. And then I mentioned just a few random facts to my SHO. You know, just to pass the time, I said, "Did you know that the stomach acid is strong enough to dissolve razor blades?" And then he said, "No, that can't be right. That's just a ridiculous fact. I don't believe that." And then I said, "Well, did you know that humans share 60% of our DNA with bananas?" And then again, he looked at me like I was mad, and you know, he said, "That cannot be true." And you know, he fact-checked all of these, and he was surprised by these 2 facts and some other facts that I gave him, that he was completely shocked. And he said, "You know what? Make a video." So you know, he filmed me just saying these facts to camera for 20 seconds. And then, you know, next thing we know, we're scrubbed in for an operation. We scrub out about 3 or 4 hours later. He asked me to check my phone. I checked my phone, and the, you know, the videos, for want of a better word, gone viral, and loads of followers and messages and comments and likes afterwards. So I kept doing the same thing, and then sort of expanded my horizons to that's when sort of the pandemic really took hold in the UK, and it was important to shed light on important, vaccine and COVID related myths and combat all of these things. So I kind of took up that front as well, and various other sort of, health related, public service announcements almost. And yeah, that was sort of origin story, as you will, of my kind of TikTok notoriety. And I've kind of completely been surprised by the uptake of social media education by members of the public. I know I've noticed a trend probably over the last few years where I've seen members of the public and patients engage with more online learning. And what I mean by that is there's more health seeking behavior, and they want to know more about their sort of health. That traditional patriarchal doctor patient relationship is going, and that's for the best as well. And I think when patients take more interest in their own health, they're generally more compliant with treatment algorithms and medication and plans, and that fosters that doctor patient relationship. So I think where I started from, just purely giving maybe didactic lectures, and then progressing to educating healthcare professionals or future healthcare professionals, in terms of medical students and nursing students via clinical examination videos. My next kind of step or progression was to target members of the public and give them information, because a vast majority of them will be my patients or your patients, or patients in GPs in the community, or doctors in the hospital. So if they're armed with facts and information, I think that's where it's that's the key. That's where the key lies. And there's been a huge transition that I've seen in just 1 year on TikTok, and how health information is being disseminated. We've gone from when I was first just consuming content online, seeing doctors maybe doing some dancing videos or lip syncing videos, to now actually providing fun factoids or health-based information, or kind of reviewing videos that may be providing false information and debunking myths. That's a kind of a common trend. And I would definitely wholeheartedly encourage medical students, healthcare professionals, doctors at any level or any stage or grade, to dip their toe into the social media waters. I mean, I would say it doesn't come without its, there's pros and cons for everything, obviously. And, you always get conspiracy theorists and trolls, for want of a better word, or, people who will, give negative feedback, negative comments, etc. But I think overall the experience of being a doctor on social media is fantastic. The feedback you get from people who really appreciate the information you provide, accurate information, and, it also quenches your thirst for teaching as well. It's a kind of a teaching method or a teaching medium that's not restricted by geography, not restricted by time, and not restricted to any specific demographic. If I explore and analyze my kind of demographics and kind of channel analytics, I see a really, really wide diaspora of people, from 14-year-olds right up to 60 plus. With obviously the peak being in the 20s and 30s. So you really see a wide demographic of people, and also geographically as well. Even though I'm based in the UK, the significant proportion of my audience comes from the UK and the USA, as well as Australia, Canada, Middle East, Asia. So again, you get a really widespread across the world, across the map, of people wanting information, and also that cultural diversity also shapes the kind of content that you'll create as well. There will be certain type of content that will appeal more for one certain geographical area. I think it's just a fantastic resource to use. And I haven't looked back. And, in an additional sense as well, it's also provided opportunities away from traditional medicine. As a surgeon, I'm, focused on, clinics and operating and ward rounds, and that's the kind of bulk of my day, which I absolutely love. I love operating, I love, seeing patients, helping them hopefully, and doing all these things. But, obviously with any full-time clinical job, there are days where things don't go so well. There are days where things are stressful. And I see social media as a gateway out of that. It's an outlet. It's something which everyone needs, whether you like to go to the gym, whether you like to, sing, or, any other hobby. Social media for me, it's not a full-time job. It's still a hobby because my full-time job is an NHS surgeon. And I love being on social media to get away from that side of things, but also it's a nice adjunct to what I do. So I continue to do my regular teaching. I teach medical students or junior doctors face to face, but also doing the social media side of things just give me a different perspective on what's going on in the world, and what patients and members of the public really want to get down to knowing. And I also mentioned things about what's going on in the world. It's a really great way, is eventually if you build up some sort of platform, to use that platform, responsibly and for appropriate things, whether it's talking about current things going on in the world. So, obviously, it was important for me to shed light on what was going on in India. So obviously India's experiencing, a third wave of COVID, where, it's spiraling out of control. And that's something maybe a few weeks ago that wasn't on the mainstream media on the front lines as much. So it was a nice way to kind of raise awareness and showcase what's going on in India. And, similarly, other causes across the few months. So, when the whole, George Floyd incident first happened, when he unfortunately passed away, being able to dissect and analyze from a medical point of view what happened, and why obviously, it was important to highlight. So, I did a video on that, which got a lot of traction, and, it was featured on, various news articles and things like that. And again, it's the ability to, provide accurate information, to shed light on important matters, not in an activist sense, but just to, get your message out to other people. I think that's an important cause. And, being, a doctor on social media, I think it comes with a certain degree of credibility, assuming you continue to provide factual information. So, you become an important, figure almost, to where people go to for up-to-date information, accurate information, or, I think it's a sense of safety almost. So, it's something that can be easily abused. And, you see instances of doctors online who use it to promote various other things for financial or monetary gain, or, to promote various products, which, could be more in keeping with pseudoscience rather than traditional science, which, there are dozens and dozens of doctors and qualified people on there who claim to be experts. And obviously, that transitions us to the dark side of social media. And I've been privy to the dark side of social media, where I've seen a lot of colleagues and, people who are not colleagues, but who claim to be doctors, who promote misinformation. And particularly, we've seen that over the last few months with regards to COVID, with regards to vaccines. And, that gives rise to a whole subculture of misinformation, conspiracy theorists, anti-vaxxers, all of these things, which, not only propagate fear, but, misinformation then drives down the vaccine uptake, promotes COVID, which means obviously in our current state, it limits the rate at which we can go back to, normality in the world. So it's important, again, to combat all those things. But, it's important to be aware that, social media isn't always sugary and nice and lots of followers and lots of likes. That's the dark side of social media, where you get lots of misinformation. And, if you are providing correct information, you could be targeted by, certain, not hate groups, but conspiracy theorist groups, or, trolls on social media, who maybe see you as some sort of pariah, and, you can be attacked. But, that is part and parcel of social media. And, because social media is unrestricted, there's a lot of people who can hide behind keyboards and, behind, fake profile pictures. that breeds a sense of confidence. So, the aggression can be even worse on social media. But thankfully, there's a growing population of experts and scientists and science communicators and doctors on social media. So the larger the group of these kind of health information experts, the more the information can get across. But, as with anything, there's pros and cons, but I would say that the benefits significantly outweigh any minor negatives of being online, and it's kind of changed the way I practice medicine as well. I would say that's a huge change. The way I interact with people online has made me realize actually things which I took for granted or I assumed maybe patients knew, they don't know. And a specific example of that is a series of videos I've started recently where it's aiming to promote health literacy. And it may come as a shock to a lot of people, but a significant proportion of most populations, most audiences, the kind of literacy rate is probably at a 12 to 15-year-old standard. And that's an important thing to address because number one, a lot of people's first language is in English. With we often, if you live in London or any big metropolis, there's a diverse ethnic groups and English won't be their first language. In addition to that, you could argue that the language of medicine, it's a completely new language. A mixture of Greek and Latin and various other novel words. It's another language that we learn as medical students, as healthcare professionals. So, a simple word like, for us, like benign or malignant, that doesn't easily translate to a layperson as, not cancer or cancer. So, when you're using words like perforation or inflammation or, the suffix of itis, for us, it becomes almost like English. We're fluent in the language of medicine, but members of the public are not. And it's important to address that. And, the new series of videos I've done on health literacy and translating doctor speak, as it were, have done really well because I've realized that a lot of patients, perhaps don't understand some of those words. And that's opened my eyes. And how that's translated into my clinical practice is actually using, lay words. So, when I consent someone for an operation to remove their gallbladder, a laparoscopic cholecystectomy, instead of the word laparoscopic, you can say laparoscopic, but also you can, add that with keyhole. So you can, tell them that laparoscopic means keyhole, or that, there's a risk of injury to the bile ducts. You can say bile pipes. Tubes that carry bile from the liver, and so it's important. These little nuances make a huge difference, I think, to patients' experiences. And we know from extensive research that when a patient's experience or journey is improved, their outcomes are improved as well. Their perioperative outcomes or just their outcomes in the hospital are improved. They're more compliant with doctors. They feel better. They're less affected by low mood if they understand what's going on, and the patient satisfaction is higher as well. And at the end of the day, patient satisfaction is one of the outcomes that we look at, increasingly so. So, it seems that maybe I'm rambling on here, but actually, looking at social media in a global sense, yes, it can be construed as someone being on there just to get followers and likes, but it's not about that at all. Certainly speaking from a doctor's point of view, it's a chance to improve patient outcomes. It's a chance to improve your own practice as well. It's, you're learning as you're teaching other people. It's a chance to refresh your teaching skills, and it's a constant evolution. Being a doctor, it's all about lifelong learning. So learning how to adapt your teaching, learning how to engage an audience as a speaker as well. The traditional PowerPoints have died. So, learning how just with words, how can you, words or video or music, how can you capture an audience and keep them captured and engaged? How can you take a complex topic and distill that into a 30 or 60-second video? So that shows that you need to understand that information. And the way I do that is I take a topic and see if I can explain it to myself like a 5-year-old, And that's a key that you've understood the topic and you can explain it well. And not only from the teaching side, but also raising awareness about important topics, as I've mentioned, about different crises going on, and what's going on in the world that people may not be aware about, because we know often that some news may not be topical because it doesn't sound sexy or interesting, and that may be lost in the mainstream media. So it's a chance for you to pick it up. It's a chance for you to combat misinformation and myths, particularly something that I've been doing over the last 12 months with regards to COVID and the vaccines, with particular regards to the side effects of vaccines, and promoting public health and public health interventions. And it's also a chance, just for an outlet for yourself as well. Being a doctor can be stressful, as I've mentioned before, and particularly being a surgeon on call. Once I finish a 13-14 hour shift, a chance to de-stress. I like to do a little bit of exercise, and I like to make content on social media as well. It's nice. And it's nice to provide not only just serious education, which obviously has a role, but I think more and more we're seeing that it's important to combine serious education, or just any education, with a degree of entertainment as well, or edutainment, education and entertainment. Because at the end of the day, all of these platforms like TikTok or Instagram and YouTube, they're all platforms meant for entertainment. And if you can bring an educational element to that, the sky's the limit. And, and that's what I've seen throughout. I keep adding some element of excitement or entertainment in my videos to keep the audience entertained, because a lot of the audiences will be a younger audience. And, if you can take something, that's traditionally seen as a very taboo or serious topic. For example, I've, made videos about, the kind of biology or explanation as to why women get period cramps. Talking about periods, even though it shouldn't be, is still seen by some people as a taboo subject. But if you can make that relatively lighthearted with video explanations and explain those topics in a simple way, it really appeals to a mass audience. And similarly, being a general surgeon, I deal with a lot of colorectal issues, with regards to hemorrhoids and anal fissures and things like that. And you might be thinking, how can you make a video about hemorrhoids or anal fissures or constipation and actually have people watch the video? Well, it may or may not surprise you that a video I made about hemorrhoids has got over 2 million views. And why is that? Well, if you just make it interesting and topical. So I start the video by saying, stop sitting on the toilet for so long. That's it. Something to catch them in. And, I made a video about the harmful effects of sitting on the toilet for too long, and how that can, cause, hemorrhoids. And, that's what you need to do. You need to find a way to understand the information, distill the information in a succinct way, and then just make it catchy. And fortunately, I've been able to do that, and I've had fun with it. And it's I've got, anecdotal feedback from colleagues at work and nurses and other random people who have, recognized me and, saying they really kind of, engage with my videos and really like them. So you've got to keep doing it. At the end of the day, I would summarize this by saying, if you're not on social media, think about going on there, whether it's for educational purposes or just consuming content, because it may change the way you think. Or if you're already on there, you might want to think about kind of constantly changing up your content to keep it fresh. I'm thankful that I kind of jumped on the social media bandwagon, and it's definitely paid dividends in my own career and my own personal life. And yeah, have fun with it.
Thank you to everyone that made tonight's episode possible. Whenever our scholars are thinking about complex problems facing our health systems, we encourage them to think about how they make significant change in the world of healthcare. We are incredibly lucky to have some incredible scholars in the HLA. They use the HLA as a platform to take their ideas and bring them to fruition. If you are interested in the work of the HLA, why not join us at one of our future HLA events? Why not join one of our programs? Why not even become a HLA scholar? Thank you for joining us. My name is Johan Marlwana, the director of the HLA, and it's a good night from all of us.